400, that bandit's on your nose at 15.
400, that bandit's on your nose, 15.
Oh,
hello. I'm awake.
I'm awake. So I'm jolted. Boom! I went right into a sidewinder, a quick lock set, 20-mile medium PRF. Boom! And by the time I get a lock, he's at 9 miles, and he's at 1.3, right on my nose.
200 radar contact on my nose. Mach at 28,000. 200 bogey on the nose, 28,000. 7 miles.
Pointed right at me. So from that bandit's on your nose at 15 to going through a quick lock, he's at 9 miles. And that bandit, the big B word, went from here to here. I want to kill a guy.
Right.
And so,
did you got a sidewinder lock? So you're on the nose.
Well, just wait, because we have in today's sidewinders, you could have taken that shot probably, but what do you train to? Inside 10 miles, always heat. If I'd been sane and our sidewinders, the AIM-9 mics didn't have that capability then. If I'd been sane and rational, we didn't have AMRAAMs either. We were carrying Sparrows. If I'd been sane and rational, and I should have just selected a Sparrow and taken a 9-mile Fox 1. Should have. But I'm sitting here now, I'm caging the Sidewinder seeker to look down the radar line of sight. There's a little cage uncage button there on the right throttle. And I'm cage it, goes off. Cage it again, goes off. Cage it one more time. Tone, shoot light, take the shot.
BID, coming down my nose, both side Mach. Mongostat 1. Good sniff, MiG-21.
In the meantime, Bill McKee, who thinks that Bouncer and I are a mile and a half or so behind him, but we're actually abeam him. He's going 306s, stand by for VID.
Mongos locked. That's in the area. 306s, stand by for VID. Coming down my nose, both side Mach. Mongostat 1. Good sniff, MiG-21.
So McKee missed the bandit call, and he says, we've got bogeys on the nose. And when he's talking about stand by for VID, I've already squeezed the trigger once. I did get a good NCTR. I mean, that was not what I based my shot on. It was the bandit call from the E2 I correlated.
The bandit's on your nose.
But so I didn't call my shot. That's the one. There's one other. I'd fired 2 or 3 sidewinders in my previous years of flying, and they were all golf hotels. They leave a big plume of white smoke, and to go to the drone. And so, and even our simulator was mechanized at the time, so that when you fired a sidewinder, there was a plume of smoke that goes towards the target. So that's what I'm looking for. Well, as it turns out, the brand spanking new AIM-9 mics, they're smokeless motors. And so this thing comes off the rail, just like every other sidewinder I've ever fired, like a train going, you go whoosh, and then it just disappeared. And I glanced at the range. It was about a 6.5-mile face shot. It turns out he's at 29. I'm at 30. He's at 1.3. I'm at 0.9. It's a righteous shot in terms of it worked. It was a valid shot, but I have this huge wave of. It's the first day of hunting season. I may have had a little buck fever here. This doesn't. I glanced at the range and it did seem excessive. It was like, as it turns out, it worked fine and it was a valid shot. But I've now kissed off the sidewinder in my own mind of just going. And McKee's over here, stand by for VID, and I'm about to. So I select Sparrow at that point, and I took a 4.2-mile Sparrow shot.
Good sniff, MiG-21. Kill. Fox 1, MiG-21 low. It's a MiG-21. Up, that's confirmed.
It did it in reverse in terms of what you would expect. I employed the heat-seeking missile at 6.5 miles and then followed it up with a Sparrow. The Sparrow was sort of like a Saturn V. I mean, it was like there was some time compression. I felt like I could have looked over there and seen the serial number on the missile. I mean, it seemed like it was. And
just go already.
As I squeezed the the Sparrow, I take the Sparrow shot, the Sidewinder hits it, and then the Sparrow hits him. And you always think, okay, an airplane that's been hit by a missile or two is disintegrating. I mean, but he's at 1.3, I'm at 0.9. You have what, Mach 2.5 or something over launch speed. The nose-to-nose closure between the missile and the target is somewhere over Mach 4. And so the TDD, the target detecting device, is going, hey, warhead, blow up. And all of the frags, everything, the Sidewinder did the job. He's on fire. He's going down. The Sparrow added to the job. Anyway, he's still a MiG-20. He comes right under my left wing. I kind of rock up on my left wing. I watch him go underneath. About 1,000-foot pass. Canopy still on the jet. He's on fire, mid fuselage aft. But there's a MiG-21, the little spade-looking wings, and another set of things. Unconsciously, I'd already saw I'm back at idle. It's like, why am I decelerating? Oh, yeah, because I was doing a little bit of cool management here. Hopefully, okay. And so while that's going on, Mongo gets a lock on the wingman, and as it turns out, I think Bouncer got a lock on the guy that I shot, and maybe McKee. I don't know, but I'm the only guy who chose to fire. And then Mongo, as the wingman, gets a lock on the wingman. The two MiGs were in a pair patrol left echelon from the way we looked at it. So the lead was here, and the wingman was to the left. And so Mongo when he hears all of this stuff going on, he was a nugget. He joined us in August, just before we deployed, or late July. So he's a brand new guy. He's 6 months in the fleet, and he gets a MiG kill. He had when he went air to air, because he had also checked. We'd done let's check to make sure our bombs are unlocked and the racks are working and all that. He'd gone air to ground. Boom. He goes to the Sparrow set, which is the 40-mile, interleafed, wide range. I mean, it was not a quick set, but he gets a lock on the wingman. And whereas I kind of validated the long-range Sidewinder shot, he validates the mid-range Sparrow shot. He takes a 2.1 mile or 2.2 mile Sparrow shot, and the guy he's locked on, this MiG-21, it's more of a left to right track crossing angle, and so Mongo has to kind of overbank to center the dot. He fires, and then this thing, Mongo said it pulled so much lead he thought he'd gone stupid, but it's the proportional, and so this thing kind of rendezvous on the MiG, and so Mongo's all fired up. My missile hit my guy a few seconds ahead of Mongo's, but Mongo goes splash one, and then Bouncer on the right side of the formation very calmly goes splash two, which makes me also think that perhaps that first explosion I saw on my MiG was Bouncer's shot. This was all happening really fast. From that bandits on your nose at 15 until missiles are impacting MiGs is something like about 35 seconds or so. Happened really fast.
And when you say it happened really fast, and again, for those listening, I'm going to do Georgia math here, but I'll round up. Say you're doing Mach 1, but you're doing 0.9. They're doing 1.3. You got about 23 miles a minute of closure. So it's ticking down, and then obviously it's a pop-up threat, more or less. I mean, the adrenaline's got to be flowing. It's happening quick, and trying to get that identification.
Trying to stay ahead of the jet. And if you get past them, you're going to have to just. I mean, you can't let them get past you without aborting your mission or dealing with them, because. So, boom. So. There are two MiG-21 fireballs that go down either side of Bill McKee's airplane, or just underneath. We clear that merge. I actually wind up passing through the little puff of black smoke from the Sparrow impact. Interestingly, I mean, as you review the HUD tape. So we get a lock on another group now. We're 25 miles south of the target. And these guys initially are west of the target, nose on, at 23,000 feet at 0.4. And who are those guys? What are they doing? And so McKee, says, hey, we've got bogeys west of the target. E2 doesn't help us. They don't tell us, they don't see them. And the crazy thing is, these guys are initially pointed at us, and then they do this slow turn to the northeast. And we're coming, we're ramping down now. We were coming in the 30s. Now we're going to be ramping down, and, we'll release our ordnance, in the low teens, high tens, maybe. But as we're ramping down, we're kind of accelerating. And this guy that I've got a lock on, I've got a no escape sparrow shot. I mean, 7 miles, 6 miles, 5 miles. He's a dead man, but I don't know who it is. And it's not the day to do I'm hauling, he's at 0.4 and I'm at 0.9 plus, and I've got 4 Mark 84s on the jet. And if I knew who he was, I could kill him easily, but I didn't know who he was. As it turns out, this is after the fact, and I'll jump ahead. I get the intel guys when I get back to the ship say, hey, congratulations on your MiG-29 kill. I said, no, it was a MiG-21, the guy that I shot. He said, oh, no, there was slot back activity everywhere up there, and there were MiG-29s over the target when you were there. So for the lack of just one bit of information, the E2 didn't see him, and we couldn't, and these guys have gone tail on to us by now. Nobody's ever been able to explain to me what MiG-29s were doing over H3 at 0.4 at 23,000 feet. I have 2 theories, and they're my theories. One is either those guys had already been airborne and they were out of gas, and they're just hanging out waiting for this thing to be over, and they're just saving gas, or they just launched and the Iraqi plane captain forgot to pull the gear pins and they're stiff-legged up there. 0.4. This is so. Initially, when I see this and this guy's sort of turning away, of course, in fighter tactics, that's like a dog rolling over on its, biting my throat. Kill me. And so one thought is, in the Iran-Iraq war, there were some fairly sophisticated bait and switch, drag kind of tactics that were used by the Iraqis against the Iranians, where they'd have somebody do something stupid, the Iranian F-4s would commit, and then they'd have a flogger do a low to high, or something like. So that's kind of what's in my mind. So when I get a lock on this guy and he's turning, he's no threat to me. I just did a series of kind of deep 6 checks for about the next minute or 45 seconds or something. So and then I come back, okay, no escape sparrow shot, 7 miles, 6 miles, 5 miles, and it's like, there's H3. I'm going to have to go past the roll-in point to chase this guy down to see who he is. He's not a threat to me. Came here to drop bombs. I've tortured myself many times. I'd find myself running, and I'd get running and faster because it's like, for the want of just, I could have gone in there and gunned him. It's like, no, not if you make the smallest mistake, you're going to overshoot or anything like that. And I couldn't kill him. If I wanted to kill him, I could have, but I had to VID him. Anyway, I break lock. The old neuron that's firing, okay, I go west into the jet stream, and then I reverse back around and made the sweetest dive bombing run I could have ever made. If I had another 10 years to try to do a better one, I couldn't. It was just in the zone. My target, Steve Minnis's target, had been this command and control bunker that was sand colored. There was it's midday, no shadows, no relief. I know where it is on the target, but I can't see it. It's just blended in. It's like, I'm not going to just drop on a location. Secondary target's this big hangar. I know exactly what that is. So we'd briefed, okay, we're not in peacetime anymore. When you come off target, don't sit there and wait for your bomb to hit. And so I rolled in, dropped, and built into my off-target jinx peaks back at the target. So jink, 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 peak. And so the first time, look down and I see it was 4 Mark 84s. Just like, oh, that looks so good. But while I'm focused on infinity there's this popcorn. I was probably at, I don't know, 12 or 14,000 feet when I pickled. I mean, it was an auto toss. I didn't fly to a solution. So I'm above 10,000 feet easily. But scattered all over the place are these popcorn puffs of AAA. And did you ever play that little game, pick up sticks, where you drop these little straws and then you're supposed to take them out? Well, SA-7s and SA-9, these little corkscrew contrails are just everywhere. They're just ballistic. They're just firing them. And I'm above it. I'm just like, not a good day to be low, and I need to resume my jinking game plan. So jink,
Right.
chaff, flares, jink, peak. Bombs walked into that hangar. It's like, yes! Regardless of whatever else happens, we put the bombs on the target. And then there's Mongo and there's Maggot. I snuggle up in between those guys, and then we hustle out of town. So and in fact, we go supersonic out of Iraq. I mean, and there's the two pillars of smoke about 30 miles south of the target of the 2 dead MiG-21s. I mean, there's a little reminder of what we had just had.